Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of the Buy Around. Before we get into our intro, got to say a big shout out to the team at Ladbrokes and everybody up at Cairns Races. We had a fantastic time, myself and Charlie. The pots were going off as well. We had so much fun. Big shout out to everybody at Cairns. I've got to say, if you're in the mood for a race day, Cairns is absolutely fantastic, especially in winter. That little bit of sunshine. Obviously, you can probably see a bit of a tan/burn line happening on my neck. But today, we are joined by leading NRL journalist Buzz Rothfield. Great to have you here, my friend.
Great to be here, mate.
It's great to have you on because obviously there's a bit of back and forth around the Bulldogs. But before we get into
Bulldogs, can't wait for that discussion. Yeah. Stephen Crichton.
Going to be very interesting, yeah. Buzz, and your take on things versus my take on things.
I'm sure we'll be poles about.
We had the five of the top 10 stories that came out. We did a podcast with Michael Chalmers. Sorry, the 10 biggest stories of the decade, 2 parts. First 5 were out. What's, just out of curiosity, what's your biggest story of the last decade, would you say?
Oh, you caught me on the hop a little bit, but there was one I wrote that I would put into the top 10, and that was Jarryd Hayne, the year after he won the Dally M medal, the biggest name in rugby league by a long, long way, Nathan Cleary type big, walked out in the game so unexpected to go to the NFL. And I can let you know now, you know, in this game you never give up sources, but it's a fun story. And I want to tell you about my relationship with Bob Fulton, who was the chairman of selectors with the New South Wales Blues, and he was also the chief selector for the Kangaroos. And they were picking a team to go to England. And we were waiting on Monday afternoon to get the team. And Hayne was obviously first in at fullback, Dally M champion. Bozo rings me and said, "Oh, you wouldn't believe it, Hayne's out." I thought, "Oh, shit, I better, thanks, mate, I'll start." He said, "That's not the story." I thought he'd been injured or, there was some compassionate grounds or something. He said, "No, he's going to the NFL." And that was a massive, massive story at the time, It shocked rugby league, it really did, that he was a guy who hadn't won a competition yet. Everyone knows the heartbreak stories at the Parramatta Eels, and we all thought he'd stay here, but it rocked the game to lose a player. You remember the yellow boots he used to wear?
Yeah.
Rebel sold out. Peter Wynn sold out. Every kid wanted to be Jarryd Hayne, and the plane and that madness when he scored tries. And
the Hayne plane, yeah.
Yeah. So, that was probably the big... To lose a player that standing, And funny story with Jarryd Hayne. I went across to cover about his 5th or 6th game for the San Francisco 49ers. You fly to LA, then into San Francisco. It's a long way to go. You wouldn't believe it, I'm at the tailgate party before the game, having a sneaky, right? And there was some guy there who had a lot of ins at this couple of hours before the game. He said, "I don't know why you come all this way, he's not playing." I said, "Oh, turn it up, mate." So I got to the ground, the coach dropped him. So I'd gone all the way to watch him. What a waste of airfare, a couple of nights accommodation.
Well,
and he did a presser afterwards, Jarryd, and I've never seen a snarlier person in all my life. He was filthy on the world. I said, "Do you think you'll learn from this? Is it a sort of, I don't know, what do you think?" And it was nasty, but yeah, that was a big story.
Well, he does feature in part 2. Again,
does he?
I probably, you just forget just how big of a story it actually was, and the pedestal that he was on, his standing in the game.
Yeah.
And I guess the fact that, it really did come out of the blue. I guess with things like...
Oh, well, they were ready to pick him in the Kangaroos.
I guess
to pick him.
With things like this potential breakaway rugby union competition. Yeah. Like you could imagine it. It's like, it gets a hush deal with some of our game's biggest stars now. But the NFL, like that was so unheard of.
Yeah,
it was almost like
it was a funny story too. I broke the Val Holmes one going to the NFL, but it's a better story because I heard from Cronulla, who I'm obviously close with, that he was thinking about doing this. I had a mate he had to go to the NRL to get his contract signed off, null and void, so he could go and do this. I finally got my confirmation, and he confirmed it straight away because I rang him and I said, "Hey, Val, Phil Rothfield, how are you?" He said, "Not too bad, mate." I said, "What about you? You're going to the NFL, right?" And he said, "Oh, mate, it's a really bad line, crash." You know? Thank you, and just went and...
Ooh.
Yeah, but back to Hayne. Sorry to interrupt there. It would be like Hayne now going to the Cleary going to the Wallabies, or Cleary going to 360, or Cleary going anywhere.
Yeah, it just...
He was the pin-up player by 10 lengths, you know.
And he was one hell of an athlete.
Yeah, I look forward to listening to part 2, mate.
Yeah, it was good fun. The first part...
Did Chammy claim to have broken any of these 10 biggest?
No, he spoke about being there at the at one of Jarryd Hayne's post-game interviews where he was a little bit sour and against the world, like you said. One of the stories we did was the rise and fall of the Dogs, which I guess I was a part of.
Yeah.
But I forgot the amount of public interest in that, and even maybe from my own perspective, a bit naive on just how big the Bulldogs were.
Sure.
And then being back, like what it meant to the community. I guess because I came at the start of it, I wasn't part of that, I guess, rebuild. So I was almost unaware that it was... It had been asleep for a long time. Obviously, had that 09 semi against Para, but I probably wasn't aware of just how, I guess, disappointing the previous few years have been, and even how huge it was to go against this family club with the connections to the past, and how it was a big thing, and even Hasler I was in England and just going, this is all a bit full on, but didn't realise how big it actually was. And then obviously the end of it was...
No, well, you've seen the number of people who have come out to support them in the last couple of years, and 65,000 crowds. That shows the size of that football club. And, they were asleep for far too long. And, really interesting. You're doing your top 10. I've got 50 years up next year, and I plan to do the 50 biggest stories in 50 years.
NRL or...
NRL. And I might do other sports alongside, but I just want to do a few 50-year specials. And I'm thinking even about this year, and they probably wouldn't make it, but my goodness, there's been some big stories this year. The Cherry Evans night, when you get on 100% footy and quit, then you see rang 360 and counter offered. And the Lachlan Galvin story, my goodness, that was a massive story. That was huge story.
Do you think...
Just not him leaving a footy club, but the circumstances around it. And...
Do you think that is because the game's in such a popular space right now, that the Galvin story was probably overblown versus you think about Hayne?
Not really.
But do you think there's more shows, there's more interest? Let's go back to when Hayne left.
Yeah.
The game was going well. Yeah. But the eyeballs, the attention, it wasn't the same. It's every year it's grown. I think.
Well, podcasts have grown.
Yes.
Television's
social media,
everything's grown. And Galvin became so big because Gus said he was the best teenager he's ever seen. And Shane Richardson offered him $6 million over 5 years at 19 years of age. Yeah. That's why it became a monster story, and the fact that Isaac Moses walked in with a dossier of complaints. It had everything. There's all the... It was a journo's dream, that story.
And happened in mid-season as well.
But I'll tell you what, he's a tough kid to cope with the pile-on he received even from his teammates on social media there. I've always felt a bit sorry for Jerome Luai, that he was sort of to blame, that he came in and he was the man instead of Galvin. In that I wrote the year before, last year, after they were towed up by St George on a Saturday night in Wollongong. And I was told then Lockie was walking around the shed saying, I want out, I'm just not learning here. And Luai wasn't there then, But we could sit here do 3 podcasts on Lachlan Galvin and the journey, and there's still a debate out there now, as you know. Have they done the right thing? The doggies, the Sexton, should he? But he had a great running game the other night.
Yeah, well, I think that was probably Galvin's best game in a dog shirt. It
Maybe
really
it's an
was.
off-season project, the Lachlan Galvin set of podcasts.
Maybe
Hey?
on those stories that you're doing, I would really love for, I guess, the warring sides to come together and give us a no-holds-barred Super League war. What happened? All the biggest players in the I think there's generations of fans that know of the Super League war and know that it was huge, myself included. That go, well, what on earth went on there? Like, what was the catalyst for this huge injection of money?
Oh, the catalyst was pay TV.
Yeah, I know that, but then these
there was
warring
Optus,
parties,
which Kerry Packer was aligned with, and Rupert Murdoch was starting Foxtel.
Yeah,
and these 2 tycoons both wanted rugby league, and they don't share those guys.
I know, but why did they want it so bad? Like, what?
Oh, well, you saw the other night in Mudgee why they wanted it bad. It's the greatest game on the planet. It's the toughest game on the planet.
These are like big dogs from America, and it's like, what did they want with little old rugby league?
But they both grew up here.
I know.
They both knew what rugby league does.
I'd love to hear them say.
Why are there a million podcasts on rugby league? Why are Fox TV ratings bigger than on rugby league than AFL? And we're only playing the Eastern Seaboard. It's the game, mate.
I know, but
it's
I'd love
theatre.
And I'd love to hear those people just explain why they were willing to put everything on the line, like the hundreds of millions of dollars at a time in the mid-90s, when it's still big money now, but it's extraordinary money back then.
Not really. Pay television was big then.
I know, but it's like, when you think of the jumps in finances as well, that wasn't R360 allegedly offering, $1 or $2 million US the jump. Those jumps were like astronomical, and for we've heard of those stories, but I'd love to know about the how and the why and some of those fallouts where people say, "Oh, they don't get on from the Super League era," and I'm like, that was like 30 years ago.
Yeah, David Gensel, the old boss of Channel 9, rang me a couple of years ago and said, they're very, very keen on doing a major Channel 9 documentary on, just call it The War.
Yeah.
And asked would I be interested in sort of as a contributing editor or whatever. But it never got off the ground. But as you say, there have been some great World Series cricket documentaries done before. I hope it is told one day.
Yeah.
There are so many untold stories in rugby league from that time.
I think you need both sides to contribute as well. But speaking of good big stories,
there's probably a few players concerned about the taxation department and the way they were actually paid in certain circumstances.
Maybe it's reached the statute of limitations for the ATO to get after them. But speaking of big stories, Buzz, there's no bigger one this weekend. We had, a Friday night that, if that's what the finals are going to look like, give me that. Like, you've got to get excited. You can't help as a fan, no matter which club you support or follow. Like, if you see games of that quality in finals, we're in for a treat. But the sacking of Coach Hasler, he had an interesting press conference.
Travis Mayne,
post that loss. With
Saturday
Travis Mayne
to the Warriors,
asking around the future for Fita, and obviously now it's been confirmed that Hasler will no longer be the coach. I mean, I like the fact that they've allowed him to stay. I think it'll be awkward, but he deserves the tributes that will come, because I have the understanding, or maybe even perhaps the fear, that this isn't just him not being the coach of the Titans anymore, but maybe his time in the NRL as head coach has come to an end.
Yeah, it probably has, but I don't think he'd look. He wanted to coach next year, but I think it's been reported he's bought a beautiful property on the south coast. He's got designers in, and look, Des has done so well out of rugby league. Don't feel too sorry for him, look, he really has, and I'll look back at him with his 2 premierships as one of certainly the best coaches of recent decades. And he got the best out of those Manly sides. Sadly, sad exit at Canterbury, same at Manly, and now the same at the Titans. I don't think the club had any other way to go though. You played under him, right?
Yeah.
So how would you compare to all the coaches you played under? What did you learn under him?
He took me to my footballing extremes.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And look, I've had some amazing coaches and amazing mentors that I needed at different times in my life.
Sure.
But me coming to the NRL, he was my first coach here in the NRL. And he, like I say, I knew I was leaving a system in England. I imagined it was going to be a bit more intense over here, away from the match day fixture. I imagine the pre-season was, but even everybody else in that Bulldogs dressing room was like, this is full on. This is what it's all about.
Right.
And he helped me see the game in a different way, which I'd never seen it viewed before. I've got nothing but love for him. The way it ended wasn't great. Was he a part of that? Probably. But I look back on that relationship with nothing but with smiles. He also stood behind me in some difficult moments, and it was right there beside me. So again, nothing but love and respect for Coach Hasler. I guess he will have aspirations still, but
I'm not sure he will. I'm not sure he will. But just getting back to what you said, he was a player's coach. The relationship he forged with people like you and Kieran Foran was like a son to him, and even David Fifita, who hasn't produced for a couple of years on the Gold Coast. He had the opportunities, but he backs him. And I'm not sure Des is telling the full truth about the Fifita story and what's gone wrong there this year, but he's in protection mode. And I've spoken to him privately about it. He said, I can never really tell the full, and that's one of the bits I love about it. It was frustrating for journalists, but he was the player's number one. So 2 most important things was winning and his players.
Absolutely. And I know during his first time at Manly, I think the incident with Brett Stewart, he was very affected by that, saw the impact of that.
Yep.
And it's my understanding that since that time that with the media, he's been very, very wary.
Yeah, probably has. It was a very difficult time for the club. He also had to deal with the rainbow jersey at Manly, which split the playing ranks. 7 players decided they didn't want to play rugby league in that jersey and stood down for the weekend, and he had to re-galvanise the side and go out and play a game of footy. Then when the boys came back who made that decision, and that's tough. The game had never experienced a story. We talked about Hayne earlier. That was a massive story that made international headlines.
Yes, you know what? Yeah, it did.
And he had to bring a fractured club back to play some pretty decent football, but didn't end up the way he wanted it to end up. Very, very hard man, Des. They tell me with pre-season training.
Absolutely.
He used to train the living daylight. It's sort of lighthearted now, but I've had a few cracks at Madge lately about army camps and spear buckets and Broncos preparations, and are they tiring because of work loads? But Desi teams were fit. That's what's so disappointing about the Titans, and I'm not bagging Rebecca Frizzell or anyone there, because I think it nearly had to come to an end this year. It's an unacceptable result, 17th on the ladder. I saw their roster at the beginning of the year, and I thought it was potential top 8 roster. You look at his bookends, his front rowers, Tino and those sort of guys, and Regan Campbell-Gillard and Bo Fodawaker.
But obviously, it's a results-based industry, and I guess the buck stopped with the coach there, but also with Hasler's style. it's very closed ranks.
Yes.
And there seems to be an appetite now from the owners to be more. Obviously, you want those results, but there's a different game being played on the Gold Coast with that PR battle with the Suns.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
there is.
Is it the perfect storm for them to make that change? They're 17th on the ladder, and although the coach would be presenting around how we can change this around, and he's still got another year left despite that clause existing, but Hasler has never been one to be open and have his playing roster open, and we know the stories of media accessibility to his players and to him, and that lack of...
He wanted to micromanage media, and anyone needed to do an interview with someone, he'd want to know who Journo was and all that sort of thing. But changes need. I think that club is at reboot stage.
But you think that's what the club, i.e., the Titans are now looking for? It's not just somebody to turn things around on the pitch, but also away from the pitch, and maybe they go hand in hand together, where there is a bit more of a relaxed atmosphere and a lack of edginess around.
Yeah, maybe.
Like secrecy around what we're doing.
Maybe. Look, I think there has been a disconnection at the club, and I spoke to their chief executive about earlier in the year, and I rang him and I said, the Suns crowds are well ahead of yours this year. And he said, oh, don't worry, we got the big games, and he was quite relaxed about it. But I think when you do have a closed shop and you are sort of holding the media away, there is, PR is everything, marketing is everything.
Especially
and the Gold Coast
especially there.
And I wrote a column about it, would have been 10 weeks ago. The AFL hand out their annual grants on a as-needs basis. Yeah. So the GWS and the Suns might get 35 million each in AFL grants, whereas the West Coast Eagles with their and Collingwood might get 18 million, right? I wrote a column and said, look, should we consider this in rugby league? Because the Titans are now on a battleground. They need more for pathways. They've got Palm Beach, Currumbin. They've got Keebra Park High School, two great breeding grounds, but other clubs are coming in pinching them. Do they need more help like the AFL gives the Suns? Do the weaker clubs, and I said this about Perth coming in, first few years, let's give them an extra couple of million on the cap, because to convince players to go to the other side of the country, relocation costs, very expensive to rent property in Perth, these sort of things, but too many self-interests in rugby league. No one wants to go. I wrote a story this morning about bush football, and, not one club outside of Penrith has gone bush this year. Not one club. Well, 15 of the 30-odd Origin players come from the bush. All we're worried about is Pacific nations now, Great Samoa, Tonga.
Well, I think personally that the clubs are less interested in the emotion and the growing. They're a business. We look at Manly and Scott Penn, the bids coming for that. Russell Crowe selling maybe his stake in South City. It's become
this is where
even with Leichhardt, which we're going to discuss a little bit later, like, look, emotion, and I love those grounds, and you can feel the atmosphere. Yeah. But at the end of the day, on the bottom line, they play that game at Leichhardt versus playing at Combank, and which looks better.
Yeah, well, they're going to upgrade their corporates with the money they're getting. Look, I know it looks better on TV.
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
But on the bank balance, it looks better being played at Combank in front of 15,000.
But my idea about more bush football is for the NRL to go to the state government, Tourism New South Wales, let's poke up the economy in Tamworth, in Coffs Harbour, in Mudgee, in Dubbo, in Bathurst, in Wagga, and let's say to the government, you contribute, you'll drive people into the town for these weekends, and you'll make it more attractive for NRL clubs to go there.
I'm trying to think back.
Jimmy, we can't lose the bush.
No, I know. And so what I was about to say is I'm sure during my time there, Buzz, playing in the NRL, we'd always take a game on the road. Like, it was almost mandated. Like, I know the Dogs had some over in New Zealand, but should the NRL not say to each club in the next broadcast, like, You've got how many home games do each club? So if you play 24 games, so 12 home games. Surely one of them could be mandated that you have to take it to a regional area. Every club.
See, what Cronulla did, they stopped going to Coffs Harbour because they got a better offer from the West Australian government, took it to Perth, right? So, but that's not going to help.
No.
That's not going to help.
Well, now with the team impaired, that avenue probably closes.
Yeah.
But should the NRL maybe not look to mandate it and say part of our CBA moving forward is one of your 12 home games needs to be played in an area with a maximum minimum
Jimmy,
size.
even if we take 4 or 5 games a year to the bush, right? Better than what just having Penrith doing it. But then set up by-round exercises where community clinics are being done in Moree, Boggabilla, Tamworth, Casino, all these places where a club goes there, like Madge does to the Hunter Valley last week for camp, just to camp and, some training runs, some fan interaction and, just to revive the game in the bush.
Well, I think, those areas are always going to overproduce and over-deliver for what the resources that they have.
Oh,
and you can only imagine...
Tough boys, mate, the country footballers.
If the resources were... But...
we used to have a city-country game back in the 80s, and country used to beat city.
Do you think... Now, this is very complex, and I understand I might get shot down for this.
I'm ready to shoot you down,
Do you think the country need that it's us against the city mentality, and we are part of our identity is we don't get looked after, so they're more determined?
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like
I do.
Like a Liam Martin comes with the attitude of like, I had nothing growing up. I'm going to show these city kids what I'm made of.
There's definitely a campaign that could be done around country players, to build a bit of siege up.
Yeah. 100%. Like if I'm from that,
they're such proud boys.
Yeah, they've got more of pride
Jack White
of where
was
they're
suspended and went out to Orange to ball boy for his old club. Zach Lomax went down to Temora to ball boy for his old club and carried the water bottle. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but maybe there is an attitude.
You ought to do a bush footy tour. You should brush NRL for 1 week. You would love it out there, Jimmy. Just the stories. I've been to, as I said, I think I said on radio yesterday, Moree, Boggabilla. Mate, it is so good. It is.
Just quickly going back to
sorry,
the
God, we've gone off this as of the country rugby league.
Mate, we're all good. We're allowed to go off track here. On the Titans, Buzz, and the acquisition of Josh Hannay, I think it's going to be a non-negotiable from the owners that more community, more publicity, more media, more awareness of the Titans being the NRL team in town. That I think is on the owners to make sure Josh Hannay is agreed upon.
Yeah.
But from a footballing perspective, how can he get this team? Well, is it football or is it dealing with Tino's Fasuamala Awe's clauses? Is it David Fafita and likelihood going to South Sydney?
Yeah.
Obviously, he's got that connection with Queensland.
Yeah.
Is it figuring out whether AJ Brimson, Keanu Keeney, and Jaden Campbell can all play in the same team? Like, what is it that he needs to put top of the list?
Well, they should get one of those big shark nets up on the Gold Coast and throw it over and drag all their people in and just make sure they feel part of this, a new Titans. And do you know what I mean? We spoke about that disconnect. They've got to go on a blitz there to win the fans back.
Yeah.
But what will win the fans back? And you just got to look at what had happened at your club, Canterbury Bankstown, and years of playing in front of empty stadiums at a core and no atmosphere to 65,000 blockbusters. Winning will bring people. The Matildas used to play behind closed doors. Now they sell out wherever they play. Winning's everything.
Yeah, winning is important.
I think it's more important than anything else. Yeah, I really do. People love winners.
What does Hannay need to do?
He needs to balance his salary cap. He needs to get a much better balance. As you said, they've got about 5 players who can all play fullback or all utilities, and they're brilliant footballers.
Yeah, but they're too similar.
Yeah.
Does he need to then make the call on who his fullback is and say to the other two, you're free to go?
Yeah, look, or
does he say, Kieran Foran's gone, Campbell, I'm going to make you into a 7?
Look, you know what most great clubs do? They start working at spines.
Yeah.
They don't have a half. Is Preston Campbell a half? Is he a fullback? Is he a 5'8"? I don't know. They don't really have a hooker. Sammy Verrills, a lovely fella, nice player, but not, up there with the top hook.
So I think Verrills is actually pretty good.
Sammy Verrills?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, he's not Harry Grant.
No, he's not.
He's not Braden Brayer.
No. But are you going to be able to get someone like that? I think I think Verrills actually is a very competent, decent.
But I don't even
half.
think he's Reid Marnie or Bailey. And there's a reason Bailey Hayward. There's a reason the Roosters let him go.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, he won a grand final there.
But I think he's got to walk in, look at his spine. Do you agree with that? Bit what Richo's done at the West Tigers.
And that might be...
We know he's got a fullback.
So, but
there's no lock-in 5'8", there's no lock-in half-back, and in my view, there's no lock-in great hooker. And, so he's got to start, with the roster. Then he's got to appoint the right coaching staff. Scotty Sattler's going to be their general manager of football.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Great appointment. Who's going to do recruitment? I'm not sure. Scott Sattler will find the right person, whoever that might be. That's going to be so important, recruitment.
You know what's crazy? They've got Tino there that with his ratchet clause goes to 1.5, if you believe the reports. Would it be the worst thing to have him move on? Like, as great as he is. Like, he's an amazing footballer who I'd love to get in the trenches with. But for the greater good of what the Titans are maybe trying to do, like, they don't need... That's not what their... I guess their needs and requirements are right now.
You don't think... Look, they need Grant. They need Grant. They got him. They got Campbell Gillard, who's getting towards the end. They've got Mo Fodawaker. So they've actually got 2 Origin middle forwards there who haven't named up week in, week out. Tino's had injuries. With Tino, I think he needs to sit down with Tino like Parramatta did with Mitchell Moses, scrap the clauses and have an honest conversation with Tino. If you think the rumour that I think Cheese raised here about Melbourne Storm is true, and you want to go and win a title with Melbourne, or do you have your heart in the jersey that we're wearing, the logo we have, the fans you drag through I think that conversation needs to happen. And if it does happen, rejig his contract where you get rid of these clauses and the constant speculation. Clauses are shocking. They should be banned. But there's a tough conversation there.
Yeah, because I'm a bit torn because Tino is a person you could build a squad around.
Yes.
But he's also someone that...
I don't know if he's 1.5 though, Jim.
Yeah, well... It's a lot of money.
But you look, where are you going to find someone? You got to look at your options.
Well, you could almost get 2.
No, but who? St George can't find one.
No.
And when these lower ranked clubs have to pay more to get...
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess if you've already got them, then you make a fair enough point there.
It's a really interesting model. Because you look at Canterbury now, and they probably spend more money on football now, right? They've got a great pathway system now. They're stockpiling the best kids in rugby league. The Roosters have got their academy. They're stockpiling. Penrith is stockpiling. The most important area for the Titans is to get those elite schools as part of their pathways and have a far more professional, Gus Gould, Nick Politis style of vision. The trouble is it costs money. And when you're privately owned, owners, just want to break it. They'll reinvest, but It takes a big investment.
Well, I spoke about the connection to community and the NRL team. Is the Frizzell's next move to just tighten the bolts on who can and cannot come and pick the best kids out of their community and have them play for other clubs? Because I read an article not long ago around some of these, like, to quote, Gold Coast juniors that have been plucked by other clubs.
Yeah. That's the way it is. The South Sydney Rabbitohs, their junior league is not as big as it used to be. So you know what they've done? They've set up in Victoria.
Yeah.
They're pinching Storm juniors. Storm have only just really established a good, strong, competitive rugby league junior system, and Souths are down there with their own academy pinching them. It's catch and kill your own in this game.
Yeah.
Souths are, all other clubs are on the Gold Coast. They've been asleep at the wheel, the Titans. They should have had these schools locked down.
Yeah.
But the elite kids there, they've all got good managers, and they're not really in a position, you don't want to send the kids there. Because, you want opportunities in Gus's system or the Roosters system or So the whole place needs a serious makeover.
It does, Buzz, but I guess the light at the end of the tunnel is there's so much upside to the Gold Coast in terms of what they can look to achieve. They've got a couple of the ingredients you'd look for. It's an attractive destination. They should be able to bring players there. And I've said this before that I look at Canterbury's lean into the community and how they bring the fans along with them. Now, that for me as a player would have probably been a little bit hesitant, and maybe some of them were, but it's actually affecting their performance in a positive way. And maybe that lifestyle in the Gold Coast, if they lean into that more, as opposed to, it seems like they try and push it away.
Well,
hey, we're not a holiday destination.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't need to, you're not setting up in a caravan park there.
But you don't want players going up there in jeans without their, it's a footy.
No, I know.
It's a professional football operation.
100%. But there's, you look at teams like the Miami Dolphins, that they lean into the fact that they're a beach town.
It's a massive effort to relaunch that club, starting with the coach and Scott Sattler, right, to get the football department working, and with that is recruitment. It's with everything related to the football department. But then it's the owners, the CEO and the marketing department to come up with a vision that is going to bring people back to their home games.
Yeah.
As Travis Main said to Des at that presser the other night, he said, have a look at the crowd out there, Des. They're all Warriors fans,
Yeah, I thought that was
I didn't think he particularly need to say that.
Yeah, I mean...
I spoke to Travis today and I'd said that to him. I said, I'm all right with you asking questions, but about Fafita, but I didn't think you need to go there.
Or even just ask, what do you make about the lack of support?
Yeah, sure.
Ask him that rather than point out the obvious. Buzz, Friday night was built up and it was delivered. It lived up to the hype, and that is our instant classic. If you want to check out all the availability, all the offers that Classic have, check the link in the bio, become a Classic VIP member. We have got some very exciting things around the corner with Classic, and our instant classic this week is none other than the Miracle in Mudgee. Buzz, I've been a player for a long time, a fan for a long time, a pundit now for a decent amount of time. You've been around the game for well over 50 years. In terms of finishes, like... The only way that's a better finish is if it's a grand final.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can make it any... I reckon the only way you can make that finish better is the consequence of the game as a trophy is given to the winner.
Well, I suffer from recency bias. We all do, and, you talk about a grand final. It's Joey's pass at the death to Darren Albert that saved rugby league. That try was so good, and Newcastle beating Manly and forcing Super. So that meant more, right? Yeah. This was a club game, but if you're asking me for the best finish, as I said, I do suffer from recency bias. This is as up there with anything I've ever seen. In the last seconds of play, worn-out athletes had been belting the bejesus out of each other for 80 minutes, and 3 minutes of, mate, the fatigue had to be a massive part. I know they get a drink at Golden Point changeover.
Yeah.
Cleary, the best field goal shooter ever, slams it into the post. Jetty Stewart down there. Like Ray Price used to stand there waiting for a bounce off the upright, grabbing it, working the left, giving it to Strange, back inside to Weeks, try. Mate,
even the chase back from the Panthers players, like, they made Weeks, because Weeks is rapid, Edwards, Strange is rapid, like, they were close to stopping him.
Not many players that get past Edwards. Yeah. Edwards had a shot on Strange. Yeah. Strange is a spectacular player.
Well, Liam Martin had a chance with Stewart as well. Like, the people that are into him about not knowing the rules, but, geez, the speed of... I mean... Yeah.
There's a bit of a debate going on about that rule, because I spoke to another coach yesterday and they said it doesn't matter if the ball's bounced, you can't tackle a bloke now in the air. So there's a bit of debate over that one. I got confused about it.
But I mean, the finish, it reminds 2020 grand final, Saints v Wigan, my final game, where Tommy Makinson's hit the field goal. It's hit the post, but we've scored, not the opposition. On Friday, I was up in Cairns watching it. It's one of those. I went watched it again. It was so good. Even Fogarty missing the kick to which
mate, I would have nearly kicked it. You know.
You know what though?
You know what I did? There was it was a really funny. Luke Burt, when he was at Parramatta, missed a similar kick towards the end of a game. So Work said to me, "Go out and see if you can kick the goal." So I went down to Peter Wynn, went out to the old Combank Stadium, whatever, Parramatta Stadium. I couldn't find a bloody kicking tee, so I had this little sand bucket turned up, so I missed it. But mate, he should have kicked that.
He should have, but sometimes if he kicks that goal, you don't know what happens. Like if Penrith are chasing down 2 points towards the end there, like you just don't know what happens.
Is this an advertisement for Golden Try? What we saw?
Ooh.
It's a bit more spectacular than a field goal shootout.
Yeah, but that try never happens if there's not that field goal attempt.
How do you know it wouldn't? Would have been a bomb. They would have.
That try doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen.
No.
They're
good
know.
For rugby league, the Raiders, aren't they?
I think they're the story, and they're big for any.
But it's their style, Jim.
Yeah, the young players. What this victory does for them now, and it's a change in language. So Ricky Stewart can say to his team with evidence, "I know you can win this comp."
Yeah.
And I've spoken previously about belief and how belief can grow.
Yeah.
But knowing something as opposed to believing something are two very different things.
Absolutely.
So now Ricky Stewart presents the evidence and goes, "Lads, I know you can win this comp." And he even
he tells them that, but at the same time tries to keep a lid on it.
Well, yeah, but what he tells them and what he tells the public is different things. But even the fact that moment is probably what it's going to take to beat a Penrith, I feel, or a Harry Grant show and go. But even the fact that Canberra clawed that game back, which Penrith don't give up those leads.
Nah, well, they did the week before. That's what worries me about them, against Melbourne, was it? Or
yeah, they did. Yeah.
It's very rare. It's very, very rare.
Well,
but that Canberra side, those kids just never give up. I said to Ricky, I spoke to him yesterday, and I said, "Did you enjoy that?" He said, "Oh, not really." He said, "I'm working, and I don't know what's going to happen." I said, "Well, you just picture yourself. We all know how spectacular it was now. Pretend you don't know what's going to happen. Imagine yourself sitting on the lounge at home, Cleary's kit, and then,
If you're just a fan watching that.
But he was working, so you know what I mean? He was so...
What a moment, honestly.
Yeah.
You couldn't have scripted it. It was brilliant, and that's why it's our instant classic. The Dogs against the Storm didn't disappoint either. A lot to like.
Yeah, is this where we're going to have our stink?
Well, yeah. So you've written Monday today. This comes out Tuesday around Stephen Crichton being a protected species.
Yes.
Do you think he's obviously there's that incident with Ryan Pappenhausen? And look, I probably think that should have been penalised.
It was a grubby incident, mate. It was so unnecessary, Jim.
It was unnecessary. I'm not going to call it a grubby incident. I think it was unnecessary. But
mate, if that's acceptable in rugby league, Jimmy.
No, I'm not saying it's acceptable. I'm with you. I think it should have been penalised. But I think of all the players in the league that most would have unsavoury incidences. And I think Stephen Crichton, for what I think I'd rather focus on the positive of Stephen Crichton, the leader, the example that he sets. I don't think one incident defines him. And I don't think he's a protected species.
Oh, I don't think one incident defines him either, and that's why I gave the evidence with the story. There have been a couple of other incidents this year when he led with his shoulder, knocked out Lindsay Collins, and there was another one when he led with his knee in the St George.
That one where he was going
penalty try.
But that was wrong, mate. That was
it was a penalty try. The bunker didn't think it was wrong, but again,
that was BS.
You cannot lead with your knees going in to try and save the tackle.
He's trying to save the tackle.
Come on, Jimmy. Come on.
I think that was...
And then there was an incident I found last year. Surprisingly, when I write opinion stories on foul play, I normally find myself subjected to quite severe criticism online. It's life. Particularly with that massive army of passionate Bulldogs fans who fill that stadium. I went and, before I got here, looked at the comments. So 95% my way that it's about time this fella got called out. Now, what do you say about Stephen Crichton? He's the best centre in the world. He's the most magnificent leader of that team at a very young age, and he could take him to a title. He's more than likely to take him to a title the next 3 years. But the crap in his game, mate, it's not good.
See, I wouldn't view it as crap. I think he's got an aggressive side. He's got a determined side.
Is this aggressive to grab it?
Yeah, all right. Fair enough. You know what? Fair enough.
He should have got a week, Jimmy.
That was
2 weeks.
That was over the top. Over the top. But a lot of players play on that line, and I think he was aggressive in his approach. And he got it wrong in terms of players that maybe get involved in those style of incidences or those type of incidences. At the top of the tree, I don't have Stephen Crichton. That consistently have those acts within their game. He's not. He wouldn't be. If I was right,
he's had 5 or 6 incidents the last 2 years. Right, I had a look at the full sheet in his record, so it's not that pretty. What drives me and a lot of fans mad is you get a shoulder. What do you think of the Harry Grant shoulder charge? Pretty lightweight, right?
I thought it was wrong.
Yeah.
Look, but on that particular
technically he broke the rules, but he didn't even shake Harry Hayes, did he?
For me, my issue with that is if nobody picks up on it, and I mean nobody.
Yeah.
Harry Hayes didn't. No one in the Bulldogs thought it was an issue. No one in the Storm thought it was an issue. The 3 match officials that are out on the field didn't think it was an issue. And then I'm trying to think back to
Do you reckon he was a marked man? Do you reckon he was a marked man? The NRL have had their eyes on this fella because he's been taking the piss out of the rules, Harry Grant.
No.
With his dives.
No,
we'll catch up with this bloke.
No.
Mate, 2 weeks for that, Jimmy.
I agree.
A fine.
I agree. Buzz, I don't even think it should have been a penalty.
But that's why fans
I don't think it should have been a penalty.
No, but that's why fans are saying, and I said Stephen Crichton's protected species because Harry Grant got 2 weeks for nothing. This bloke, I thought was a more ordinary incident, got nothing. He got a concerning act notice.
Well, I agree with you on the outcome of the incidences.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Yeah. You'd rather be Harry Hayes than be Ryan Pappenhausen. But what they'll tell you is with the shoulder charge is they've got to, no matter the outcome, you've got to enforce the action. And whatever happened, and if it's worse, then you ban him heavily. But I don't like the bunker intervening for incidences like that. If nobody sees it, leave it to the match review committee.
Yeah.
I thought he should have got a notice. Anyway,
if it's a particularly nasty one, Jim, if they miss a particularly nasty incident, the referees and the touch judges, which is likely to happen, but if the bunkers stumble across something that's going to warrant further investigation, I'm not just talking about a fine, but a suspension, a grade 2, for example, I think they should then intervene. I do. Because there's no place for it on the football field.
No. But
you can't have an AFL system.
But I think, generally speaking, the referees do pick up those brutal incidences, like a Suolihi on Walsh, like a Manu and Mitchell. I mean, to be fair, that one happened so quickly. But I don't know. I just don't like the game being stopped. But on Kryton, for me, I think, like, personally, I read the article and I was like, I think it's a bit unfair to highlight him.
Thought you would.
Of all the people in the game today.
Yeah.
I think to highlight him, probably he's not at the top of my list on people who behave in that way on a regular basis. Never mind 3 this year.
Well, you name some others who
I'm not prepared to do that because I don't want to upset the apple cart. But there's players that act in a certain way that I don't particularly agree with.
Well, I got a few messages saying, when are you going to write a column about Kryton and the way he plays? And I ran his judiciary record this morning. It's not nice. And the amount of times that he's been charged but won't get suspended.
Well,
that's a bad look. That was the best look ever for Rugby League Friday night, right? I'm not going to use the old mums and dads turn off and all that because that's crap, right? But it's just a bad look for the game that you're allowed to scrape your hands violently almost over his face.
It's rough. It
and
is
I know
rough,
we're playing
aggressive.
NRL, right? I just don't think it's a good advertisement when you don't take action on it.
And that's fair. And maybe
it's so unnecessary, and there was intent in it.
Well, maybe the NRL should have acted, but and I understand how, like, Stephen Crichton, God love him, he is put on a pedestal of, like, he's a person that we should all aspire to be like, but he's a human being.
I wish we had a video machine here and I could take you through it tackle by tackle.
What do you mean?
When he launched his shoulder into Lindsay Collins, knocked him, and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck last year.
Yeah. Oh, Matt, I remember
knocked him to the ground and collapsed.
I remember that tackle, and I was gobsmacked that he didn't get sent to the bin.
Yeah.
I really was. But for me, I've got so much appreciation for what he does that for me the highlight shouldn't necessarily be on him. But I understand he's an aggressive footballer.
He is an aggressive player.
And
you know what? And that's Canterbury. That's Canterbury.
That's
growing up, they were captain aggressive in the centres.
Yeah.
I'd love to see more video of Christopher Mortimer and Andrew Farrer. They were so tough, so nasty. You'd hate to play against them, Jimmy, just like this big fella Kryton. It's Canterbury.
He's roughing them up. And you know what? Most teams would do it. And
there are other ways of roughing people up.
I get that. I guess I can understand the fans' frustration because he's a bit of an angel, Stephen Crichton.
That's what I mean. He's built up as this beautiful captain.
Yeah, and the overwhelming majority of his character and the way he's leads by his actions are that way. And he's a very classy individual on and off the field. But he has this bit of a streak where he's not afraid to mix it with the big boys.
Yeah, we've all
I've got nothing against that. I've got nothing against that. But on a game itself...
This is quite a civil little disagreement with you.
I think...
Considering our history.
Don't get me started, boss. The game itself, I'm a bit... As a Dogs fan, I take so much away from it. But then how much are we not factoring in that when it's the moment, you've got to account for the fact that Harry Hayes goes through it, and what a performance he had. The try save before the coach try.
Yes.
Like that was the best play of the game.
Oh,
And the break that he makes, but then it's like, well, you've got to account for the fact that coaches got, when you play Melbourne, it's not over. Carraz, it's not over. Like I think there's a lot.
Didn't they score 3 tries each?
Three times.
So
three
you don't
tries.
come home too dissatisfied.
And it looks like that will be a dress rehearsal for week 1 of finals, 2v3.
Yeah.
It's certainly shaping up that way. Which
the Dogs aren't in the finals yet, don't you?
Pardon?
The Dogs aren't locked into the top 4 yet.
Not locked into the top 4, but...
See, I thought they were.
No.
But
it's mathematically possible.
You're going to have to beat either Panthers or the Sharks.
Yeah.
You're going to have to win one more, and that's a tough draw. Panthers at home, Sharks at home.
I don't know. Can we be caught by 4th and 5th?
You
or
can
6th?
be caught by the Warriors, who are 4th. You can be caught by the Broncos, and you can be caught by the Sharks. I prepared this paper. Where you have an advantage at the moment is for and against. You're plus 114. But the Broncos and Sharks can also make it to 36 points.
Yeah. That's if the Dogs lose their next
Dogs
two
have
and
to win
the Broncos
to win one of them to be assured.
Yeah.
And they're not easy games, mate.
No, they're not.
I'll tell you what, the Sharks v Dogs could be a battle for the top 4.
It could be.
In that last round.
Yeah, but obviously it's Penrith next for the Dogs. That's going to be two teams that
that's how great this comp is.
Two teams that are wounded with plenty on the line.
Yeah.
Penrith fighting for a home semi.
Yeah.
They'll need to win, and the Dogs fighting to keep a spot alive in the top 4. It's going to be a great game, and I think I've already said I'm looking ahead to next year, but I'm going ahead of myself. This year's final series is just on such a knife's edge, and there's so many great stories. There's so many good knife edge contests about to happen. Like even the Sharks, like you're saying there, if they get their act together, I've watched them perform against Melbourne at home. Yeah, and there's not many teams that could go with them.
McGuinness is a major loss.
He is.
His defence, his leadership is an integral part of that football side. And they got the Knights this week, so I think they'd put on a score and improve their for and against. Then they got the Bulldogs in that last game. The Broncos aren't out of it. They got Cowboys, and then they got Storm at home.
What are your thoughts on what could be around the corner with the potential resting of players and that affecting positions in the top 8, positions in the top 4?
Yeah, it's a club-by-club situation, isn't it? And Canberra have had 3 second back end of the season buys in the second half of the year. I don't know the necessity for them to have one.
Yeah.
Particularly if they want to finish first and most likely play the Warriors in round 1 rather than play the Bulldogs, who should finish third. So I think there's an advantage there for Ricky Stewart to ensure
to get
his
that
team.
top. Yeah.
Having said that, if Fogarty was to get hurt, if Hudson Young was to get hurt, imagine if KO Weeks did a hammy.
And it'll be a 6-day so Canberra played that last game in Brisbane on the Sunday at 4:00. Yeah. Getting back to Canberra, they might hire a private jet again.
Yeah.
To get out,
they're 1% of those jets.
To get out of Brisbane on time on the Sunday, they'll probably hire a private jet, get back to Canberra if they take their full complement.
Yeah.
Because the way the draw is for week 1 of finals, you have to have a knockout game Sunday afternoon, which means Canberra can't play that Sunday. They won't play the Friday because that'll be a 5-day turnaround. So it'll be a 6-day turn the Saturday, which isn't exactly like the desired outcome or it's not exactly perfect preparation, but
these young kids, they thrive on footy.
Yeah.
They just do. So, look, if anyone's got a major niggle, he'll rest them,
Yeah.
You're better off having someone at 100 rather than 80%.
No, I'm with you. Who do you think at the moment gets that last spot in the 8? With the Roosters, they went to Para.
Yeah.
And for me, they did the hard yards the previous 3 weeks.
Yeah. Get themselves back.
Sam Walker gets KO'd. I heard Cooper Cronk at halftime saying, look, you should be able to kick on and win without your half. I just wonder if because they're a young side, that a slight subconscious. We've won the hard games that we.
Oh,
that was going to Manly, Dolphins, Dogs.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got Para.
Yeah,
like
it's just mentally. It's mentally keeping up, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, any psychologist or sports psychologist will tell you that's such a challenge, week in, week out, week in, week out. You know,
but also subconsciously,
and you drop your guard against when you play.
You play those teams, and I've been in that position before. Where it's like all the talk is we've got to be maintain.
Yeah.
And
but
subconsciously, you're telling yourself a lie, and you probably know it because you can't treat Para the same as you treat the Dogs or Manly because they're not as desperate. It's a different proposition.
Yeah, look, I think the Dolphins will run 8th. Because they got the Titans at home this week. They got a better for and against than the other teams on the same points, and they got the Raiders as well. So
the Roosters, they play Melbourne this week, which will be tough.
Melbourne then Rabbitohs.
Geez, that Rabbitohs game is going to be fun.
Absolutely outstanding game.
With them getting a few players back as well.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be.
I don't know if Cam Murray will come back. Do they risk him?
Well, there was talk of him playing and then maybe getting on the plane to England.
Yeah, wow. Well, we are short in the middle, aren't we? In lock.
Oh, I know, mate. You're really short with Lindsay Smith and obviously Hudson Young, who plays in the middle, Lindsay Collins. Yeah, really short there. Max King.
Well, I'm talking about Payne Hasler. I'm talking about
Tino's
going
to play. Oh, no, you're so short in the middle there, mate.
Typical Palm.
I don't know
Australia's chance.
Don't know what Kevy's going to do.
Yeah. Good on you.
Maybe Gordon's going over to play.
Yeah. Don't know if that's happening.
Is he? We obviously we spoke on radio yesterday. You think Gord? See, for me, I think there's a need to have someone like Gordon to just reiterate how important this is, because this isn't a World Cup. This isn't a Tri-Nations. This is an Ashes tour.
And
nobody speaks with more passion for the Kangaroos than him.
The Queensland, the Kangaroos jersey, and not wanting anyone else to play with that.
Yeah.
And I've worked with Gordy for a long period of time. Gordy's got a footy intellect too. He follows the game closely, and if he's needed on the coaching staff, if he's needed around team meetings, he'd be a great figure to have in the sheds, in team meetings, at training, on the bus. And I think I think Kevin Walters, if he's been given this job for 1 year only, he has to win this series to keep the job for the World Cup. He's entitled to pick the staff he's comfortable with, the staff who he thinks is going to best suit what he wants to do with this young football side. And if Gordy is part of that staff, Kevin thinks, the NRL have got to make him accountable.
Yeah.
The NRL can't afford Kevin to come home and say, well, we lost. You didn't give me my coaching team. You didn't give me the guys I wanted. So, yeah, I think Gordy would be a good...
me too.
In what exact role, I don't know. In some, as I said, many roles.
Yeah, there's
Gordy
space.
would run the blue shirt if you wanted him to.
There's space on the plane for someone like Gordon Tallis for a lot of things that go in and around Why
don't you get a job with the Poms? And then we'll have Gordy.
I'm taking a touring party over the bus.
You could still.
Oh no, I can't be sneaking off from the tour.
Yeah, right.
Mate, I've got to look after these Aussies. Got to show them the ropes.
Yeah, right.
Got to tell them all about drinking pints instead of schooners.
Are you flying up the front? And then your tour?
They choose where they fly.
Oh really?
Yeah. I just turn up, get whatever ticket I'm given, Buzz. That's how I roll.
I bet you turn left when you get on that plane. I bet you turn left.
Whatever ticket I'm given, I'm just happy to be there. Hey, on eligibility.
Just Mr. Rebecca Frizzell call.
Oh, anyway. Dear. She can wait. I was having a bit of a think about eligibility, and obviously we've spoke with Gordon, and he's very passionate about if you don't want to play for Australia, you don't play State of Origin. But I've been thinking about it, and just how we speak about Nathan Cleary. And how some people in the media say he's not at the immortality level because he's not dominated an Origin series. And they don't speak about Australia. So this is the pedestal that Origin is on. And I look at a couple of players that spring to mind. Isaiah Katoa and Payne Haas. So if they're out, so as Katoa at the moment hasn't played State of Origin, but has played for Tonga. If he's on this trajectory for greatness, like he's never going to not pick playing State of Origin if he's eligible. Because of not just the financial benefit of playing State of Origin, but the pedestal that it puts the player on. If Izzy Katoa, right, wins a couple of comps at the Dolphins, takes over from Nathan Cleary and lights up Origin, he'll be spoken about as being one of the best ever number sevens. And you could argue, this might sound, but if you compare, and I can't it'd be interesting to hear where people would have Katoa at 21 versus Cleary at 21.
Yes. But look, all this Origin greatness and future immortals, you know, when Bob Fulton became the first immortal and Reg Gasnier and these guys, right? There was no Origin back then either.
No, but
so why are we judging people just now on,
but because
Origin delivery?
Because it is so important.
There's no better way to judge someone than playing 5 straight grand finals and winning 4 straight premiership and being the engineer, the chief architect, everything.
I'm with you.
I think he's an immortal in waiting. As for the State of Origin eligibility, it is so simple, Jimmy. It is so simple. All we need is this rule. If you were born in Australia or played your first junior football in Australia under the age of 12, you can play State of Origin no matter what country you represent. So if you come across from England, you can't play. If Sam Burgess comes across, you can't play. But Victor Radley, who grew up in Clovelly, played Clovelly, East Pathways, tradie, as New South Wales as you get, he can play.
Even if he plays for England?
Bloody oath he can. The only stipulation with you got to be played here under 12 is you have to pick your country and stick. No chopping change. I didn't play Australia. I'll go and... that's all I want. Yeah. And it's so simple to fix.
I'm Buzz, we are almost 100% aligned because even Stefano Utoikamanu, I think, although he's played for Tonga, he's going to now play for Samoa, which I don't agree with that.
No.
But, you know, there'll be a lot of fans that and listeners that go, oh, no, the eligibility for Origin, you can't do this, you can't do that. You know that our rules for Origin, or the game's rules for Origin in terms of eligibility, are, I believe, the strictest rules when it comes to eligibility criteria to play for a geographical location. There's no residency.
No.
We look at the British and Irish Lions that came over here.
Yeah.
Some of those people literally born in Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, went and lived in those respective countries for a period of 3 or 4 years, qualify because they've residency. Like, we don't want that.
No, we don't.
As Origin. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not speaking on behalf, but I don't want to see that even as I'm a passionate rugby league person, but I don't want to see Origin, fall into that trap.
And I don't want to see people saying you have to pledge your loyalty to Australia to play Origin. That's rubbish. That is, and I've had some really good debates with Gordy about it. It's just so wrong to say that. Even this New Zealand side, even though they're Tier 1, these nations should be Tier 1 too, Samoa and Tonga. So I spoke to Ponga's father about this early in the year, and I said, what's he going to do? And he grew up with that Queensland jersey, in North Queensland. It just meant so much to that young fella. But his family heritage is, Maori, his dad. And he's put in this situation where he has to choose, That's shit, you know? He was born in Perth, lived in Queensland, played his junior footy there. He's a Queenslander and a Kiwi.
Yeah. I think, even you look at some of the players Australia have adopted over the years, like people like Petro Sivanasiva, very proud Queensland, but wouldn't it have been great to see him play for Queensland and Fiji as opposed to Australia if the international game was set up differently?
No, we owe an enormous debt to Fafita and Tamalolo.
Yeah,
who started all this.
Yeah, well, look,
and they started when they weren't getting paid. They gave up good cash to play for Australia, or Tamalolo for New Zealand, to go and do this.
Yeah, no, it's they're a credit to themselves and the countries that they chose to represent.
Talking to Dean Ritchie, he's doing a story in the Telegraph about the crowds, 70,000 Wembley, sell out Leeds, sell out Liverpool, sell out Suncorp, sell out Combank, sell out Mount E. Mate, the game's flying.
Mate, the World Cup in 2026 is going to be very special. Speaking of things very special, the Broncos put on a strong display against the Knights. It was All Boys Day there. We spoke about the Friday night living up to expectations. Not a lot of expectations on the games on Sunday. The crowd at Leichhardt Oval was fantastic. But I want to talk about something and Reece Walsh. So where we were at Triple M, we get the feed still coming through to us. The TV had changed over and was showing the Cowboys and the Tigers game. Reece Walsh, and this is the norm. This isn't the extreme. This is the rule. He was out there for so long. He gave his jersey away. He's signing autographs with the Brisbane fans. Like he's getting asked for everything. Like people want his shorts. He's having to. They put him in an awkward spot because people want, his strapping tape. Like he was so good. He was almost last one off the field. Like he's waving when he can. He's getting photos. And I just think it's you speak about our game flying. The biggest star in our game is humble enough to give his time after a game when he wants to be with his teammates. Like I think that this should be celebrated. That the likes of Reece Walsh is so good. I know it's them all.
They tell me in despite the crushing disappointment the other night in Mudgee, every Penrith player walked the fence. And stayed and did selfies, photos, everything. Mate, I saw Gutherson walk into the sheds after St George played New Zealand 2 weeks ago. St George over there, after they played the Warriors. Mate, all he had on was his Speedos. Because he'd given everything else away. That's all he had. Mate, rugby league players in general just do a fantastic job. And that's what the Titans... We get back to the Titans. That's the community engagement they need to get involved in, and they need to build their own and find their next Reece Walsh. And Kinney's potentially...
He's probably the one, isn't he?
Make him the face of the Gold Coast. Stuff the AFL.
And unfortunately, I guess, look...
When was the last time there was a face of the Gold Coast Football Club,
Keeney's the man. So I was just going to say, unfortunately... Reece Walsh will have to say no at times, and as disappointing as that is, like for that individual, look, you can't discount what he does for the game. Like and like you say, all the other players that are so giving. Like this has become the norm now for all NRL. You said about Gutherson after that heartbreaking loss, the connection to the fans, despite the game looking like it might have its first $2 million player in the next 2 to 3, or certainly the next TV deal cycle, they're still connected to the community. There's no other sport that I can think of where the players are on such a pedestal. They're in celebrity status, most recognisable people in the country of Australia, yet the casual fan can get a high five from Reece Walsh, Nathan Cleary, Isaiah Yeo, Dylan Edwards, K.O. Weeks, Ethan Strange. The list goes on.
Rugby league 25 years ago was very male and very working class. It really was. And not a lot of women followed rugby league, particularly young women. It wasn't groovy, and then along came Instagram and along came Reece Walsh. This is, and and Ponga up in Newcastle. And Pappenhausen with that hair, you know. And, mate, these guys are terrific what they do. Look at the heartthrob players at, you know, the Roosters over the years, you know.
You know what?
Look at Wangana Tawisi now.
Mate, we've not even spoke about his try. My goodness me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that was... actually, just going back to that power
Look at
Newcastle
Nico
game.
Hines, another one.
All so giving with his time. The Roosters, you know, I think messed them up, that no try call on half-time.
Yeah, it did.
It was a bit...
That was a ridiculous call.
They replayed that over and over and over
because
and over
they were
again.
uncertain.
They were uncertain, but it was almost like they were looking for it. For me,
Jim, what the rule is, if a referee goes like this and goes up and he's uncertain, he doesn't think it's a try, right?
Yeah.
But this occasion he went try.
Yeah.
So they had to overturn the referee. There can't be any doubt.
Yeah.
They've got to be certain. There was doubt in that shocking decision.
Yeah, I was...
Game changer too. Look, Para deserved to win. But
they did. But think about Roosters going in at half-time with a try there.
Yeah.
As Para dejected, Roosters are buzzing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'd like to see the evidence and that the bunker had to overturn that, because what was coming through the TV screens wasn't sufficient evidence for me.
No. And that's why I thought they'd go with the referee.
Yeah. But
that's why I thought they'd go with the referee.
Anyway, Buzz.
It was too exciting to worry about one disallowed try that round.
It was.
Even
but you know what? We're critics. We're never happy. We're like coaches in a way. Never happy with the performance. There's always room for improvement.
I'm glad you raised Walsh though. That was a good story, Walsh.
Yeah, and look,
I'll tell you a story I'll do. I'll go to the NRL and they keep research on the most popular players. They have marketing companies and I'll find out who they are. And I reckon Reece would be number one.
Well,
but I wonder what the order is, you know.
Who'd be? I reckon there'd be absolute daylight. I reckon Reece Walsh might be more popular than every other NRL. I reckon Reece Walsh could be more popular than every other NRL player put together.
Do you?
Yeah.
Mate, my man Nico down the side, you live and you know how big Nico is.
Mate, he's signed an autograph for my daughter. You know what he said on it?
Right.
Stay in school.
Oh, really?
I was like, mate, what do you think? Like, I'm...
Yeah, right.
Are you noticing something in here that says she's not going to go to school? Stay in school. She was only 7 or 8 at the time. I'm like,
right.
What are you seeing here? You're seeing a bit of a runaway rogue.
Oh, that's funny, isn't it?
But no,
I might do my top 10 heartthrobs. Not even heartthrob / rob. What should I call them? Top 10 what?
Top 10
ambassadors. What's the word, Jimmy?
No, you top 10. Don't say rock stars. Top 10 heartthrobs.
Yeah.
Top 10 superstars.
Right.
Or top 10 influencers.
Yeah, influencers. Well, I've done the highest social media followings. The NRL will have some research on it.
Yeah.
There you go, Jimmy. We got a column item out of this.
I look forward to reading that one, Buzz.
What's the buzz? With Phil Rothfield and James. Additional reporting, James Graham. Now that'll get you some followers.
Oh, yes. I want credit in this Sunday's paper, my friend Buzz. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Bar.